the street.
Hello, everybody. Time for another edition of the Kipperspective College Football Podcast. Kip Kiefer with you, as per usual, along with my co-hosts and partners in crime, Alec Etheridge, Clayt Kiefer. A week of a lot of headlines, to say the least. When we sat here last Wednesday doing the show, had no indication that the old ball coach was going to be heading to the house. He will not be on the sidelines this Saturday. Steve Sarkisian out at USC, both USCs, USC East and West, both out of a coach. Sarkisian drunk and fired at Southern California. And at Maryland, no such drama. Randy Edsall, you suck. You're fired. So 3 coaches not employed as of this week. A lot of action on the field. And, of course, a big player development in the SEC that we'll start talking about first. Florida Gators on the seeming path to a miracle season, lose their quarterback, not to injury, not to academic deals, not to violations of team rules. He went to the General Nutrition Center and bought himself a supplement. Not a very good move. Alec Clayt.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah. He probably would have been better off smoking weed every day. He probably only got in the 2 games.
Yeah, he's been out for a couple games.
Yeah,
it's very disappointing, especially if you're a Florida fan. I've said the past couple weeks, y'all hadn't been as high on Florida, but oh my goodness, that scared me.
Sorry, my bad. That's coming up.
Look forward to that from producer Clayt over there.
The producer, keying it up.
But yeah, no, I was really starting to grow a little bit on Florida, and I thought that they had a chance to really win the SEC East and compete for an SEC championship because Greer finally, and the offense finally started hitting their groove, and we already knew the defense was good. So now that he's out and you're having to bring in Trayon Harris, who didn't look that great last year, it's a tough blow for Florida, and they're going to have to go back to relying on their defense to keep them in games again, especially this Saturday against LSU.
Clayt, I'm sure you were crushed by the news that Will Grier will be sitting out not only the rest of this year, but the first 6 games next year. He probably would have been better off robbing a liquor store or something.
Yeah, he probably would have been, or
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, that for sure.
And Auburn's new starting quarterback for 2016, Will Grier.
Well, that's right, probably so.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, though, it's an NCAA violation and not a school violation, so he'd have to be sitting out at Auburn as well. But no, I actually lean to believe the guy that he did just make a mistake, which I think is the popular opinion. I don't actually know, but I don't know. I watched the press conference and it was a little like, ooh, goodness, because he was definitely broken up about it, which sucks for him. But I mean, that was just stupid. If you're gonna take some sort of supplement or whatever, you probably should check with the medical staff or whatever, or just know maybe. I know it's probably a bunch of convoluted rules and stuff, and probably 15 pages of crap. You can't have sugar on Sundays or something really stupid. I don't know, but you should probably know, or at least talk to somebody that knows before you take any sort of medical stuff. And he made a very, very bad mistake. And I guess sucks to suck. But Case wanted me to play this song instead of Smoke Weed Every Day, which I don't know what the hell this is, but Case said they've got some really, they're really good, so okay.
Good little beat.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the song was pretty catchy. We'll listen to the first minute or so. I think the chorus is what he's mainly meaning, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
If anybody knows obscure songs, he's the guy.
There's beer in coffee mugs, water bottles, and soda cups, and it's clear as the windows I came through that you are in one of those moods, and I am in one of them too, and it's hard to communicate anything.
said that clearly was the reason. So yeah.
That was I actually kind of like that song.
No, yeah, I thought it was actually pretty good too. I don't know. It was kind of weird. In case anyone knows, it's the Front Bottoms, the Beers.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know this band. I don't know anything about them. But Case Kiefer,
the king of the obscure bands,
right? Wanted us wanted that to be the Will Greer song. So if I was smarter, if I would have taken initiative, I would have just cut out the chorus. But whatever.
Well, it was enjoyable. It sets the tone for what should be a rousing program. Okay, let's start.
And probably a long program.
Well, that's par for the course. We did good last week. We kept it right at an hour. So.
Yeah, we were like an hour 4 seconds. Pretty good.
Oh, that was our all-time best. We're not known for our being concise.
Well,
so.
one more thing to add to the Will Greer conversation is Clayt seemed to think that it was, an accident, all this nonsense, but
I said I'm leaning
no,
towards
I mean,
that side.
I can see how it was kind of an accident or how he didn't mean for it to happen, and because he did seem pretty broke up about it, and you saw McElwain come in and give him a big hug and all that stuff. But like one of the first things that you do or taught when you get there as a freshman is if you're going to get a supplement from a store like the nutrition store or something like that, you're going to run it by the Florida's department.
Or even take cold medicine or Advil or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take a supplement without asking if this is okay or knowing if it's legal in NCAA. I mean, I don't understand how he bought it and thought, oh, yeah, this is good for me to just take and not worry about. He had to at some point known that he was doing something wrong. So that's where I get a little confused in the whole situation. Because
well, let's be clear though, doing something wrong, I guess if you're going by NCAA's rules, I would not consider what he did wrong.
Well, no, I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%. I think that it's a stupid rule by the NCAA, but the fact that he didn't clear whatever he was taking before he started taking it is the problem. He knew that was against the rules.
Well, you guys know where that rule comes from, right? A couple of years ago, all of the hysteria and the hoopla over performance-enhancing drugs, steroids. We have to send a strong message. It's just all politically correct crap. It was put in place to show that the NCAA is going to take a strong, stringent stand against any kind of performance-enhancing materials. I think they said the list is up to 121 banned items now.
Crazy.
But this was a store-bought supplement. It's far from a steroid.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man.
I forgot what the actual substance is, but if you're mad that you can't take creatine, just go punch your girlfriend. You'll be fine.
And in the NFL, this would have been like a 2 or 3 game suspension.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been a year and a half or a year or whatever.
Yeah, every time I saw Greg Hardy make a sack on Sunday back for the Cowboys,
Yep.
I kept having visions of the description of the fight with his girlfriend, where he had all of his guns displayed in his living room and kept putting guns in her mouth and literally throwing her across the apartment. He's playing on Sundays.
He's playing football and making millions of dollars now. So.
Yeah, unbelievable. So, anyway, that's a sad story for Florida. They did go to Missouri and win, so you guys both got the jump on me there. It was the kind of game I expected. Really, really dull and not much offense. And I don't care.
We're both ready to chime in on this.
If it's Drew Lock or it's Matty Mock, the Missouri offense is a crock.
Probably the most bizarre pick on the podcast ever.
Yeah, have you learned your lesson yet, kid?
Well,
even Nicholas called me specifically to ask me what the hell you were thinking.
but you guys have to understand.
He said, "Did Kip see something that I have not seen?" And I was like, "I have no idea what the hell why he picked Mizzou. They suck."
Florida between Ole Miss and LSU, going to the hellhole that is Columbia. I thought it would be a defensive struggle. And you look at last year's game. Florida totally dominated the game. Missouri only had 100 and some odd yards, but won 42-20 or something ridiculous like that. And like I say, maybe there was some Florida bias that crept in, but just about anybody in that position going on the road to what I thought was a decent opponent. Now I know for sure that they're not even any good. Georgia's going to wipe the field with them this week, take out a lot of frustration. Missouri's defense is serviceable. Their offense is absolutely god-awful.
I'm glad you finally realized that, because this is the second time you've picked Missouri now, and both times Alec and I have gone against them and been like, what the hell is Kip thinking?
Well, there's a reason I'm bringing up the rear in the standings.
well, actually, no, maybe not
There's
anymore.
2 of us doing that now.
Okay, well, I know I gained a little bit of ground. But anyway, I want to publicly apologize for my pick of Missouri. It was an attack of lunacy. and I'm prone to those every once in a while, but, I'm still not totally sold on the Florida bandwagon. It's a team that, got ahead of Ole Miss and did what they had to do against them. This game at LSU, and now I actually have a twinge of regret that Greer's not going to play, because I would have liked to have seen Florida at their best in this game, and now I don't think we're going to see that. And the irony, fellas, is as much many people are jumping off bridges in Georgia and taking lethal doses of whatever drug that will induce them into coma. If everything goes according to form on Saturday, if Georgia beats Missouri and LSU knocks off Florida, with Tennessee coming to Tuscaloosa next week, it all lines up for the cocktail party in Jacksonville to be for the SEC East. So after all this, Georgia really isn't the same position. It doesn't matter. If they beat Florida, they're going to probably win the division.
And with no Will Greer, they might be in the driver's seat to win the SEC
who knows?
East.
I mean, who knows how Georgia's going to bounce back? We can talk about the Tennessee game here in a minute, but, everybody has to just chill at no matter what school you support and just let the season play out, because the twists and turns are just beginning.
Yeah, especially in the SEC East too. I mean, it's just, I've said at the beginning of the season that nobody in the SEC is probably going to have less than 2 losses, which could end up changing, especially in the SEC West now. But I mean, you just look at the competition, the talent, and the East is just, they're all just equal. Neither one of the teams in the SEC East is above the other, and I think it's starting to show, and it's gonna be an interesting slate the rest of the way, I think.
Well, let's get this out of the way. What are your guys' impressions of Spurrier saying, "Nope, that's it for me. I'm stepping aside for the good of the program. I've had enough. I'm not retiring. I'm just quitting this job." What are your guys' thoughts?
I think Clayt only has like a couple words for this. He doesn't. You don't know what they are?
They suck.
Well, that's close. I don't think.
You think that's what's really on Steve's mind? God, we suck.
I mean, probably he listened to the podcast and he was like, "Yeah, we suck."
Yeah, I don't know. I heard that he retired. He actually just said he's just not gonna coach at South Carolina.
Yeah, he called a press conference yesterday and said, "I'm just getting this straight now. I'm not retiring. I'm resigning. I'm not going to close the door on anything." He says, "Heck, I might come back as a high school coach. I don't know."
Oh, okay. Well, I did hear that quote, but I thought he did like just fully retire. I guess I heard it wrong.
I was just speaking of what you said in the car, where you were like, "Yeah, I don't really care."
Oh, well, that's true.
Because they're blowing it up on the Feinbaum show today. And,
I mean, South Carolina's garbage. I don't care who's their coach. It doesn't matter. They're going to be garbage no matter what. So,
but do you guys think it's horse manure that he walks away middle of the season and just
says,
that's
what they're just talking about
on
the Paul Feinbaum show we're just listening to? I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't care. I don't think anyone should care. I mean, he's old balls. He's just like the stereotypical old man that's old enough to where now he doesn't care about whatever anybody thinks. So whatever. And also, just like I was saying, South Carolina sucks. So who cares if he stepped down in the middle of the season? I mean, maybe it'll give a chance for this interim guy to do something amazing and become the head coach, and then everyone's going to be happy that he had this opportunity. I don't know. I think that it's a little overblown. And maybe it's just also because I'm just a douche, but I just don't care at all. It means absolutely nothing to me. I think it is the end of an era, and I mean it's significant just because of the name. But from a football perspective, from their team's perspective, I don't think it matters at all.
Well, to clarify, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's old balls, that he doesn't give a shit what people think. He never has.
I think that's what I was going to say too. He really doesn't. He has never cared, and he's definitely not going to start caring now. But is it wrong of him to want to leave or quit on his team right now? I mean, sure, if it was any other coach, we'd be sitting here complaining and saying what a terrible person they are for leaving their team in the middle of the season. But then again, I think he feels that he's doing what's right for the team and the program and stepping out of the way, because I don't think he really cares about the team right now because they're not playing as hard as they should for him. So why should he stay and coach a team that doesn't want to play for him? I think he would be happier playing golf at Augusta every day and maybe becoming an athletic director somewhere or going to coach somewhere else that's going to appreciate him a little more.
Yeah, I mean, here's my take, and I don't think it's that big a deal that he leaves in the middle of the year. I think he looks at the schedule and says, "Holy shit, the best we're going to be is 4-8." And that's just not a program that he knows he's not going to be able to devote any time or energy. This guy is a gigantic ego. Remember when Bobby Knight quit in the middle of the year at Texas Tech a couple years ago after his great comeback? As soon as the adulation stops and the questions start to emanate, a guy like Spurrier just isn't going to tolerate it. It's just not his thing. He's thinking about his legacy. He put South Carolina football back on the map after 100 years of sucking worse than sucking, and he wants to walk away with that legacy still intact. He doesn't want to walk away coming off just the worst season of his coaching career, and that's why he bailed. And if that's what he wants to do, fine, because it's not going to make any difference this year. That team is shot. They're not any good. And maybe now they can start to go through the process. Guess who the first coach on that Football Down South website that was mentioned as the possible successor at South Carolina? Clayt, do you have any idea?
No, but I wanted to add one more thing
Sure.
to that, is that just like last week and 2 weeks ago and even probably 3 weeks ago, whatever, the fans were calling for his head, saying he should be fired. So I don't know why people are going so crazy that he quit. I mean, he might as well have been fired. It's the exact same thing. I mean, I don't know.
And he said in his press conference, hey, 2 years ago we were number 4 in the country. We went 11-2. We had a great year, and we've slipped ever since. He says, and that's my fault.
And I think
I'm the head man.
I think a lot of it is the press conference he called the week after SEC Media Days and right before the season started. He said, "I can't. What are all you people giving up on me for? I've still got it. I can still coach this team." And that continued throughout the season. People were doubting him. And I think he said that he finally got tired of it and said to himself, if somebody else thinks they can come in here and deal with this crap team that I have, let's see them do it, because they can't. So he wants to prove that somebody's going to have to come in and clean up this mess, and it's not something he can do.
All right, well, hey, back to your trivia question.
Who's the number one name on the list?
John Gross, Mark Mangino,
John Gross.
or
John Gross, former Spain Park head coach.
Or, dang, I can't think of his name. Hoover's old coach was,
Rush Probst. No, none of them made the list.
I'm going to go with, like, Kirby Smart or Nick Saban.
Well, Kirby Smart was on the list, of course.
Shocking.
But
yeah, that would have been my real guess.
The Football Down South website's first choice as the most likely successor, and now I'm having a senior moment, can't remember his name, but it's Bowling Green's head coach.
All right. Wow. Yeah, I don't know his name either.
I forgot.
And
number 2 is Campbell, the head coach at Toledo.
Well, let me tell you, if South Carolina likes a lot of offense and no defense, they're going for the right guy.
and the third name on the list is consistent with that too. It's Fuente, the coach at Memphis State, or at University of Memphis, which is, and he has done a hell of a job. Memphis absolutely was the suckiest program in the country forever. And he's come in and made them significant. They've had 3 winning seasons in a row. They're 5-0 this year. They play Ole Miss this weekend in what should be a pretty interesting game. So, but yeah, Bowling Green, Maction, and Toledo's Coach Campbell, the second choice. The MAC is just, it just rules.
I'm telling you, they may be the third best conference in all of college
football.
football.
I love the MAC.
Yeah, Dino Babers.
Dino Babers, that's it, yeah. Kind of not too many coaches named Dino.
I've been running into stuff all the time today.
Oh, that's okay.
Keep bumping the table and
that's
that
right.
damn Snuggie that you have over there.
That's exactly what it is, actually. That's what's caused it both times.
Well, let's talk about some of the games last weekend. You guys were at Bryant-Denny on Saturday night.
Oh, my God.
Kind of a sluggish performance, but kind of expected against Arkansas, who's just a kind of team that plays that kind of football that kind of draws you into the knockdown, drag out, not a lot of excitement, but you guys had to have been happy with how Alabama finished, other than the what the hell touchdown at the end that caused them not to cover.
I just know that the second and third quarter of that game were absolutely miserable. The first quarter was cheese. Alabama just absolutely dominated the game, and of course was down 3-0 or whatever.
Adam Griffith,
or 7-3.
Adam Griffith, red hot again.
He sucks. He's absolutely terrible. 2 drives that last like 5 or 6 minutes at least, and go 80 yards to come up with only 3 points in both of those awesome drives. It's just inexcusable. I texted you guys that, Nick Saban said it's definitely not the player's fault. Don't boo the players, boo him. So Nick Saban, you absolutely suck at kicking field goals. He
needs to come out to the practice field and look at us kick them.
Yeah, I was laughing at Clayt.
Don't look at me anymore. I was like 0 for 5 the other day. That was real bad. I've been kicking field goals a lot more now, and I've gotten progressively worse. So I guess maybe that's like Adam Griffith. 'Cause
You gotta
supposedly he was kicking 60-yarders in high school.
Yeah, well, after I choked at the College Football Hall of Fame, I went back and reanalyzed my style. It's all about, it's just like a golf swing. It's just like, it's rhythm. It's a swing of the legs, so you can get it back. Alec, what were your impressions of the Tide game on Saturday?
Well, at halftime, Alabama is trailing 7-3. They outgained Arkansas 204 to 77 yards in the first half and are trailing 7-3. And this is going to go a little bit into this week as well, but what they did was a continuance from the Georgia game, a lot of running the football and trying to exhaust the Arkansas defense, and it just wasn't going to be high scoring there for a while. They kept making mistakes, and there were things happening that kept Arkansas in the game and really had to have the lead there. But what happened in the second half is that Arkansas defense got exhausted, and Alabama was already beating them down in the first half. And then when they come out in the second half and are finally able to open up the passing game because they've been running so much, they finally started to open up the scoring and looked like a much better complete football team. And I think that that's something that's got to continue and keep happening, especially against the Texas A&M team that they're going to be facing this weekend. And another thing I noticed was with Arkansas, just like Georgia, they did not test the corners enough. They did not test Alabama's corners enough. And I'm hearing that this Alabama's pass defense is actually really good and all this nonsense. If you go to a game and you watch specifically the cornerbacks for Alabama football and what they do, you will know that the Alabama pass defense is not that good. They're good over the middle of the field, and that's where Georgia and Arkansas have both tried to test Alabama. That's not the right thing to do. You got to test them on the outside and on the edges, and nobody's been doing that lately.
Shots fired, Case Kiefer.
Yeah.
I heard that and my mind was blown.
Yeah, Case, in fact, in a conversation last night, he said, I don't know why these guys are so down on their corners. They're statistically one of the best pass defenses in the country. It does seem to me like they're covering a little bit better than they did last year, but I still want to see them against a team that really airs it out and see if they're able to do that. And I don't know. I mean, A&M has that capability because they've got great receivers. Maybe we're going to find out just how good the Alabama secondary is this weekend. But in the meantime, another interception for your safety man, Jackson, who ran one back for a touchdown last week against Georgia. Yeah, it seems like he's playing a good center field and helping out on some of those deep coverages. So
again, across the middle of the field every time.
Yeah,
both interceptions across the middle of the field.
That's true. It'll be interesting to see because they should face that test with Allen and the fine core receivers, including that really good freshman down at Texas A&M this weekend. The Georgia-Tennessee game, kind of a bizarre game with back and forth cheese. Georgia picks up a fumble at the 1-yard line, rumbles 99 yards. Leonard Floyd for a touchdown. Reggie Davis runs back a punt. Georgia 24-3. Of course, then they give Tennessee 2 touchdowns in the last 30 seconds of the half, including a Sony Michel fumble on a kickoff that really was probably the play that turned the game around. And all the angst and all the complaint about Mark Richt, Mark Richt wasn't the one who fumbled the kickoff, and at the end of the game, I don't know if you guys had already had to shuffle off to Bryant Denny, but Reggie Davis wide open, 5 yards behind the defense, a ball that either one of your mothers could have caught.
Let's not go too far.
Sorry, Kathy, but I don't know about that one.
I was about to say my mother, and she just turned 79. I'm telling you, the ball dropped as soft and as perfectly into his hands as any throw I've ever seen, and he just flat dropped it. So, you make a couple of plays here and there. At times when I think Rick needs to be criticized, I thought Georgia was ready to play, and losing Nick Chubb the first game was traumatizing. Just a devastating blow to that team, but they were prepared enough to win the game. They just didn't make plays, and they made Dobbs look like the greatest quarterback of all time. Of course, he ran wild against the vaunted Florida defense too in the first 3 quarters. So what are your guys' impressions of the Georgia-Tennessee game?
I just felt in the first half that a comeback was coming. Of course, the 2 touchdowns within 30 seconds of each other, which that's total cheese. I was not expecting that, but I really felt like near the end of the half, before they had even scored their first of the cheese touchdowns, that Georgia was only winning based on cheese. And that Tennessee was actually was outplaying them. So I expected the comeback. I didn't exactly expect it to be how it ended up. We didn't get to actually watch the second half. Of course, we watched the highlights immediately when we came back, and we got all the updates from Mr. Etheridge, Alex Dad. So I don't know. We read the text that it was the most beautiful pass a Georgia quarterback has ever thrown.
Perfect.
And
He bought time. I mean, it was
gorgeous.
and when we watched it, we were just like, "Oh my
it
god!"
was a defining
yeah,
play
it was
for
bad.
Grayson Lambert because he did what he didn't do in the Alabama game. He was able to elude the pressure. He got to a throwing spot, got his feet set, and delivered a perfect throw.
And it was a total touchdown. I mean, no doubt.
Oh
about
yeah, he was
it.
5 yards behind the Tennessee defender.
And I mean, that's
just like he scored the one earlier in the
Yeah,
half when he
exactly.
burned the same.
yeah. So he
Well,
was
that's the thing. Davis had a good day too, except
an
for that
unbelievable
one catch.
day. He
Yeah.
was gonna be the man, like the best guy ever.
If he would
I
have
mean,
had that, he would have had, I think, 190 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns receiving and 1 the return punt, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's pretty tough for Georgia fans. That it sucks to lose that way, but when you get tons of cheese eventually comes back to bite you unless you're Auburn.
Well, yeah, like you said, Clayt,
But Auburn sucks, so it's all good.
Well, and if you're a Jeremy Pruitt fan, and a lot of Georgia fans have drank the Kool-Aid, and Jeremy Pruitt's done this amazing job, and he is stockpiling some young guys. But I mean, for the second year in a row, it was reminiscent of the Florida game. No matter what, Florida lost 2 starting linemen in the game too, so they had 3 true freshmen on the offensive line during the game, and they. Here's what drives me crazy. Dobbs has no ability and no receivers to throw the ball down the field. Everything is right around the line of scrimmage. Can't you devise a defense knowing that a team cannot throw the ball down the field? The only pass they threw more than 20 yards was the 4th down pass for a touchdown right in the middle of the defense where the guy caught it and ran in for that first score right before the end of the second half or the first half. It just amazed me. These guys make millions of dollars, and it's almost like they really don't have any idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that they couldn't stop Josh Dobbs to save their life. And I knew that's what, because if you watch the Tennessee-Florida game, half of Tennessee's yards were on like 3rd and 15, and Josh Dobbs would just run for his life, and he would get a first down. And that's how Tennessee almost won that game. But then they eventually cooled off, and they were able to control it a little bit better. It's just, I don't understand. Going into that game, you have to know that Jalen Hurd, Alvin Kamara, Joshua Dobbs, those are their playmakers. All 3 are mainly runners. Joshua Dobbs hasn't proven that he can throw for 300 yards a game very consistently or something like that. So and he's shown that he can run the ball for around 100 yards. So that he's going to come out and do that, and they're going to call a game plan around that. So it doesn't make very much sense to me that they weren't able to have a game plan ready to stop it.
Yeah, and their wideouts are terrible. They lost their top 3 receivers this year due to suspensions and injuries. They can't throw the ball down the
Smoke
field.
weed every day.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Georgia's defense might have been doing that, but really a shockingly bad performance in that game. Any other highlights from the previous week that you guys want to touch on in terms of games around the league? Anything else surprise you? LSU, of course, winning their road game at Baton Rouge. Leonard Fournette.
Well, that was cool, I guess, just to touch on that. I wanted to say during the podcast, I just never really got a chance to, that it would be cool if, Baton Rouge did some stuff for South Carolina. I was actually going to say they should, be quiet during the first drive, just as, a joke, because Steve Spurrier said, I'm sure they'll be quiet. But they actually did a lot of really cool things to, make it, I mean, it's a little, ooey gooey or whatever, but they did some nice things for the South Carolina folks, and I liked that, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just touch on that, I guess.
Well, I still
kudos to you, LSU. I don't give you many kudos, but there you go.
And maybe that was a clue that Spurrier had pretty much thrown in the towel, because I said on the podcast last week, and I stand by it, if South Carolina, this was 2 years ago, and they were 5-0 or 6-1 or whatever going into that game, there is no way in hell they would have moved that game to Baton Rouge. They would have gone to San Francisco and played on a neutral field first before they'd have gone there.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah, well, but the point is, Spurrier was so congenial and so willing to, yeah, sure, we'll go down there and play. And I know it's not totally his decision. But I don't think he would have been amenable to it at all. And it was maybe a little bit of a clue that he was already contemplating, I don't need this. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't think any of us were expecting that, though, still.
No, that was a shocker. It really was. And to think that, the old ball coach isn't going to be patrolling the sidelines. It's a loss for the SEC, because he's the, one of the most luminary figures, and certainly, I like a lot of football fans, I've got kind of a love-hate relationship with Spurrier in terms of his antics and things, but he certainly was colorful, and now with an interim coach, it's not going to be the same watching South Carolina, because you always kind of halfway rooted against him just to stick it to the old ball coach. But,
well, yeah, because Spurrier's a douche and a Florida guy and everything, but he's pretty damn funny, so you kind of got to like him for that. I mean, it's sort of like some of like MMA fighters. Some of them are like big douches, but they're hilarious, like Conor McGregor or something. So I don't know. That's kind of a weird comparison, but I always, I hate Steve Spurrier when you're playing him, but then like watching him at press conferences or whatever, it's awesome to see a guy that's, not afraid to say what he thinks, and, say funny things that other coaches, it's got to be coach speak. Well, we weren't prepared, blah, we could have done this, we could have done this. Spurrier just goes, well, we're not as good of a team as they are, I guess. So I don't know. I love that, and that's going to be missed, but oh well.
Yeah, I already think he should be replacing Lee Corso on College Game Day this coming weekend. I think he should. Lee Corso is old and he can't do it anymore, and Steve Spurrier's got the comedy to
it.
It
will be interesting to see Steve Spurrier. He's going to be on Game Day, so hopefully he's funny. I don't know if he will be or if he'll just be just a guy, a figure or whatever, just because he's him, but hopefully he says some funny stuff. I'm not going to watch, but I'll be looking forward to the
hopefully
the highlights.
Hopefully he'll just be candid.
That's what I'm going. That's what I want.
Surprisingly, when Saban does TV, he's really good. He's a little dry and he's a little bit too much business-like. He needs to loosen up a little bit. But from an analysis standpoint and from giving good information, I think Saban does a good job on TV.
I don't think Saban and loosen up go in the same sentence.
Yeah, well, I mean, but if he ever does walk away from coaching, it is kind of fascinating.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed watching him. The last one I can remember specifically, I'm sure there's been one since this, but was the Auburn-Oregon national championship game. I'm pretty sure he was a guest analyst, and he was really good. Yeah, especially against a team that he probably doesn't like very much. Well, I hope he doesn't like him.
I think he's got. Yeah, he was very complimentary of Auburn that game, and he does a good job. So it is fun to see some luminary coaches in that role. Hopefully Spurrier will bring his regular personality. The same guy who we played a clip on my Atlanta podcast last night that. When he learned that Peyton Manning was passing up the NFL draft to come back for his senior year at Tennessee, Spurrier goes, well, I don't know if there's any quarterback that's ever won 3 straight Citrus Bowls, so I can understand why he'd come back. That was for the runner-up in the SEC every year.
Well, talk about two complete opposite people. Nick Saban working for the media, who he absolutely hates, and Steve Spurrier, who loves to just goof around and takes advantage of the media. That would be gold TV right there, both of them working together on ESPN or something someday. That would be amazing to watch.
Or a gold reality show if they lived in the same house.
There you go.
The Heisman house.
Chip Lake also played about 2 minutes of his last press conference as the Redskins coach the day after the season ended, the day before he was fired, when he would finish 5-11. And he said, well, basically we just weren't any good. He said, we're 5-11. That wasn't the worst record in the league. So that's one right way to look at it. He said, we weren't the worst team. He said, and I want to single out a couple players on our team that just did an outstanding job this year. Both our kickers. Our kicker so-and-so and our punter, whoever the hell it was. And, that was the guys he singled out. It was like the best backhanded goal of all time.
If only Nick Saban could say that.
Yeah, definitely. Good grief. Somebody get a kicker, Nick. The Polish rifle sucks.
Is that his nickname?
Oh, I don't know. That was Ron Jaworski, the old Philadelphia quarterback's nickname. I just stole it. It's the only Polish nickname I could think of.
I don't think he deserves a nickname.
No, he stinks.
Sucks.
All right, well, before we transition to the weekend's games, we have a special feature, I understand.
God.
So let's turn it over to Clayt Kiefer for what's becoming a legendary, a Clayt Kiefer. It's kind of like, what do they call the Tom Rinaldi pieces on ESPN, the tearjerker pieces.
Well, they're just as touching, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. So here's another moving experience. Compliments of Clayt Kiefer.
Okay, well, this is actually going to be, I don't know how often we're going to do this or whatever, as Alec moves his mic and makes noise. But this is something that Alec and I will probably do again. But last night I got ditched.
I had a lovely paper to write. So
Alec had to write a paper. So I did this one by myself. This was a recommendation by Halen, and we thought about something like this before, not necessarily for the podcast, but it transitioned well. Halen getting another shout out for his great ideas. Quickly moving up the ranks from, top 10 fan to top 3 fan.
Oh, is he challenging Kathy Blair down in Florida?
He definitely is. So
Kathy, you better come up with an idea. You're slipping.
And also, I don't know how great this turned out. I'm proud of it, whatever. But this is the pilot episode or a segment, so don't be too harsh. But I think it turned out pretty good. But yeah, I think also I'm going to turn down the mics just because it involves talking, and I don't want us to be talking over it. So yeah.
Clayt on the street. Clayt on the street. Clayt on the street.
All right, I'm here, the University of Alabama campus. I am going to go ask random strangers college football questions. Let's do it.
Hey, excuse me, who's going to win this weekend, Alabama or Texas A&M?
Alabama, bud.
Hey, excuse me, who's going to win this weekend, Georgia or Missouri?
I'd say Georgia.
Excuse me, who's going to win this weekend, Alabama or Texas A&M?
Personally, I hope Texas A&M. But
You hope they win?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing in Tuscaloosa?
Unfortunately, I live here and work here.
Oh, unfortunately, it's a great city, right?
No.
Hey, who's going to win this weekend or on Thursday, Auburn or Kentucky?
Auburn, probably. Kentucky.
Excuse me, who's going to win this weekend, Auburn or Missouri?
Missouri.
Excuse me, who's going to win this weekend, Alabama or Texas A&M?
I don't like Alabama, man.
You don't like Alabama?
Hell no.
So do you think Texas A&M is going to win, or do you? I mean, we're unbiased on this show.
Alabama gonna beat the shit out of them, though.
Oh, really? Okay, well, hey, I like your confidence.
All right.
Hey, excuse me, who should I start in my fantasy league this week, Jamal Charles or Boobie Dixon?
Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
You guys all think Jamal Charles, even though he's got a torn ACL?
Sure.
Do you guys have any thoughts on the Steve Spurrier retirement?
I don't know who that is. No.
Steve Spurrier, anybody? No thoughts on his retirement?
No, thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. I've got a trivia question for you. Will Greer should stop shopping at what store? A, The Gap, B, GNC, or C, Toys R Us?
GNC always.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me, I've got a trivia question for you.
Scared me.
My bad, I didn't mean to scare you. Will Greer should stop shopping at what store?
Who's that?
You want multiple choice?
Sure.
A, The Gap, B, GNC, or C, Toys R Us?
Toys R Us.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Excuse me, in your opinion, who is the best team in college football right now?
Alabama. Alabama.
Alrighty, thank you. Excuse me, who is in your opinion, top college football team at the moment?
Alabama.
Who would be number 2? We're getting too many Alabamas tonight.
Oh. Who else is in the top 10?
Well, there's Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan, I think now might be in the top 10, LSU.
If I had to say LSU.
LSU, so you're an SEC girl.
Yes.
Alrighty.
I would say Florida, but now that Will Greer's gone.
Oh, so you know about that. I've actually been asking that question as well. My trivia question is, what store should Will Greer stop shopping at?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. What store?
A, The Gap, B, Express, C, GNC, or D, Toys R Us?
I don't know.
How do you not know? You know that Will Greer's gone? Do you know what he's gone for?
Yes, performance enhancing drugs.
Well, yeah, so where would you buy those?
Wait, what were the store's names that you said?
The Gap, Express, GNC, or Toys R Us?
GNC.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
My family's a Gator. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a big Florida fan. I'm actually a Georgia guy as well. Georgia and Alabama.
Oh, God. Oh, I hate Georgia.
Who's going to win this week in Georgia or Missouri?
Georgia.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. At least you know your stuff. Thank you. Excuse me. Sorry. Do you have any thoughts on Steve Spurrier's retirement?
Excuse me?
Do you have any thoughts on Steve Spurrier's retirement?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Steve Spurrier is? The old ball coach?
No.
No? Oh, he coaches South Carolina's football team. He just retired like a couple days ago. Effective immediately.
I have no comment on that.
No thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on South Carolina's football season this year?
No, none at all.
What about Alabama's?
I'm nervous. You're making me nervous.
It's just you, me, and an iPhone recording our voices.
I'm sorry. I really...
I'll leave you alone in just a second, but no thoughts at all on Alabama or South Carolina? Any SEC team?
I honestly don't really...
Have you been to a game this year?
Yes, I've been an Alabama fan my whole life, but just because my family was, not because I actually care about football.
Hey, excuse me. Who's going to win this weekend, Bowling Green or Akron?
Oh, shit, dude. I'm good with Akron.
Akron?
Yeah.
How dare you? Excuse me. What is a jagaloon?
I have no idea, man.
Okay, thank you. Hey, excuse me, that's some pretty fantastic rapping, but I want to ask you a question. What is the best way to approach and talk to a girl?
Just talk
Anybody?
to her. Just be nice. Say hi.
So it's not come up with them with a microphone in your hand and ask them college football questions?
I mean, you can do that. I would know the answer.
I like your microphone.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, actually we're having microphone difficulties right now, so yeah, I'm stuck with a ghetto iPhone.
I'm sorry. I just really...
Yeah, now I'm going to get a copyright flag. Thank you. No, okay, well then if you want to answer a football question, who's going to win this weekend, Georgia or Missouri?
Probably Georgia, but I'm not gonna make any bets on it.
No bets? Do you know the spread?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Georgia is a 16-point favorite.
But I do know that last weekend, my friend Melissa, asked me for a prediction of the score of the game, and I said 28-17, and I was pretty damn close.
Oh, that's really good. So you look to, what's your name?
Paxton.
You look to Paxton for your football advice?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, you should start listening to the Kipperspective podcast. It's on iTunes, going to be on YouTube soon, and your answers might be featured. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
Clayt on the street! There you have it. Clayt on the street.
That was
the first
outstanding.
episode.
That was quite lovely.
That
Thank
was
you.
just outstanding. I shudder for the future of our society.
And don't worry, folks. I hate Denny chimes just as much as you do.
Oh, well, yeah, I was really upset.
I think that was great background. That's perfect.
Well, yeah, right before I approached this girl, that goes off, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? This girl's hot as balls." Like that's
Here's
some
the other
cheese.
question: did you get any phone numbers?
No, that'll be in a future episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna need your number and your and your email address so we can follow up and get a release signed.
Our plan from now on is to start going out and make it even crazier. Hopefully get out after games and get like the crazy rednecks on there and do some crazy stuff with it. We're going to try to start videoing it and have a microphone, make it look more like an interview, and hopefully get some good stuff for the show.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that the tailgate for the LSU game, there could be people plenty inspired to talk.
Yeah, the tough thing about that, I mean, I don't know. I did that on a Tuesday night at 10 o'clock at night. I went out and recorded for an hour and a half.
Oh, you were doing that in the dark? No wonder girls were scared.
Oh, you scared me. I'm
nervous.
Yeah, well, I wanted to go on the strip and get, like, drunk people, but there was absolutely nobody there. It was so dead that I ended up just walking around. I walked around the strip in the quad, and I felt like I got some pretty good stuff. So. And
your exclusive one-on-one interview with Nick Saban is on the show next week, right?
Yeah, I wish. I'd ask him some pretty jabroni questions. I'd definitely ask him what a jagaloon is.
His kicker.
Yeah.
If he said Adam Griffin, that would be awesome.
That would be amazing. But anyway.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
that was great, and it's going to get better and better, too, hopefully.
That is an awesome feature. I love those things that they do it on Jimmy Kimmel, and also Bill O'Reilly has Jesse Waters do it on Fox News. The man on the street stuff is just awesome. It just gives you a great perspective on how little people know.
Yeah.
Clayt on the street.
Yeah, I hope you like my lovely auto-tune singing.
Awesome. That was a great segment. We enjoyed that immensely. All right, take us to the pick segment here as we turn our attention to this week's games. Some titanic battles and really important games in the SEC. And let's get a look at those now with our previews and predictions.
Alrighty, so last week was pretty crazy. Alec actually has taken the Yahoo lead. I was wrong. I told him the wrong thing in the car on accident. However,
what?
yeah, you were actually in the lead, but since there's still those 2 games or whatever, I am in first by 1 game. Alec is in second behind 1 game, and then Kip is behind Alec by 1 game. I was wrong.
So those cheese games are still cheesing me and
those
Kip,
half-point
basically.
games are
or you'd
still
be in
on
last.
Hey, well, don't worry. There, more art, or there's 1 more to come.
Yeah, we got some cheese tomorrow.
Also, I don't want to hear it about the cheese games anymore. At least not one of them, because I was only one to pick Mississippi State, and Troy scored a touchdown, or no, kicked a field goal in the 4th quarter in garbage time. Why people kick field goals when you're down by 50 points? I don't understand. Try running a trick play or something. Use it as practice. I hate that cheese. That's what lost me the Mississippi State pick. So at least one of those half-point.
Their coach had some money on the games, my guess.
Yeah,
it sounds like it.
You can
Appreciate
get
it, Coach.
here. But anyway, we will go and look at these games. The first game I guess we should go over. This is the cheese game this week because it is not listed by Yahoo. Yahoo is stupid, I guess, and just doesn't want to list Thursday games. So
why is that? That doesn't make any sense. It's an SEC game.
I guess just because you're allowed to put your game in on Thursday, and so then they can't.
Oh, I see.
It's really stupid, but we're doing it. We're gonna keep track of it.
Sure.
So first game is Auburn at Kentucky. And Auburn is a 2-point favorite we're going to use our alternate source, which is the CBS Sports app. They have Auburn as a 2-point favorite.
Wow.
So
preseason, I wonder what the line on that game was. It had to have probably been 9 or 10. It's 2 now.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I go first since I'm in the lead. Is that how it works? I forgot.
That's how we've been doing it.
Okay. Well, Alex thought for sure he knew who I was picking, but he was wrong. I'm going to go Kentucky in this game.
Oh, man, he's trying to give the Wildcats another chance.
I hate Kentucky. I hate them. Don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to win here, so I'm not going to be stupid and pick Auburn. I mean, maybe you guys have a different opinion. I don't know. I feel like with Kentucky being the underdog here at home, I think they've got just as good of a chance. I think they've got a slightly better chance to win the game than Auburn does. So I think I have got to go with Kentucky.
Clayt's ready to take a chance again. Okay, that's sorry. There's a little Barry Manilow there, just to show the range of our podcast from our previous.
That's terrible.
I was waiting for it. Thank you. That's almost as terrible as his Mizzou pick.
Yeah, well, and now I'm really looking like a jagaloon because I'd be right up there in the hunt without that throwaway, but. I've already publicly apologized.
Yeah, you'd be tied with Alec now.
Yeah, so no more abuse. I've already publicly apologized.
Well, you've got a chance to pick Missouri again this week.
Yeah, well, we'll see. This game's really tough. Kentucky had a breakthrough win against that awful Missouri outfit, but then they came back and played just god-awful against Eastern Kentucky and pulled out some cheese at the end to win. It was an absolute mirror image of the Auburn-Jacksonville State game. Both these teams come into this game should have lost those games against FCS teams. It's a real tough game for me to pick. Auburn's had time to kind of regroup. Who knows what Malzahn's been able to put in. I still think Sean White's kind of a one-trick pony, and I still don't know how well they'll run the ball. Kentucky's defense pretty good. I'm going to have to take the home team. I'm taking the Cats. I think the Auburn ship is irreparably damaged. And I'm going with the Wildcats. Give me the roar. No roar. Thank you. And now will Alex go out on that shaky limb and go War Eagle?
Well, you brought up the quarterback situation. Gus Malzahn has not named a starting quarterback for tomorrow night yet. I want to know your guys' opinion. Sean White or Jeremy Johnson?
Who do I think it's going to be, or who do I think should be?
Either one.
Oh, I think it's going to be Jeremy Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I mentioned Sean White only because there's been no announcement that I still think he's done enough to earn the start. He got him their big win against San Jose State. But I would not be surprised if Jeremy Johnson enters the game early on.
Nice try, guys. Who is going to the latest rumor right now is wide receiver Jason Smith because they remind him a lot of Nick Marshall.
Really?
Yeah, that was kind of a trick question.
Well, that's
exactly
okay.
the point.
What a jagaloon. That's great. We'll be seeing a bunch of the gimmicky crap they've been doing the last 2 years.
Exactly. But with all this craziness surrounding their program right now in the quarterback situation, they got no offense. Defense is close to last in the country, really. I think they're around 110th in total defense.
But they got Will Muschamp.
He's done a great job, hadn't he?
Will or Bill?
Well, yeah, Bill's the alter ego that sucks. So I guess Bill Muschamp. Yeah,
But
Kinda
I think
fresh
and
water
I
or
finally
whatever.
figured out why I want to say that. The offensive coordinator at a Pac-12 school, a former Oregon quarterback, Bill Musgrave. I don't know why, but Bill and Will for Muschamp and Musgrave gets convoluted in my head. But forevermore, he's Bill Musgrave to me,
well, I don't think
and Bill Muschamp to me.
I don't think it really matters if Bill or Will shows up. We're going to sweep this one, and I'm going with the Wildcats.
Oh my goodness!
Where are we at over there, Clayt? I love it.
Gosh, who would have thought that? Oh, the Tigers get no love at all on the Kipperspective podcast.
That was super loud. Oops.
I liked it.
I don't know if the listeners liked it very much.
Well, they can man up. They're fine.
Oh man, that's
All right, what's next? So it's a clean sweep for the Cats. How about that?
yeah.
That makes them an automatic loser. Call your man right around and bet Auburn.
Yep.
Hey, we're pretty good here. We're
Yeah,
not the
They might
worst.
win the SEC East this
But
year,
if
guys.
all three of us weigh in on the Wildcats, not a good history in that area.
That's true, but you guys never weighed in on the Wildcats. But now I hate I don't know. Let's stop talking about them.
Well, I told you the most disgusting thing I've heard all year was on that Eastern Kentucky game, and I heard an ESPN guy make reference to it last night. Tolles, the quarterback, Patrick Tolles, they're calling him Patty Ice. How
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous is that?
It's pretty funny. It's terrible, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, not quite as good as Matty Ice.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too secure with Patty Ice, but we'll see.
Anyway, next game is La Tech, Louisiana Tech at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a 13-point favorite.
Is this like the seventh crap team they've played? It seems like they always play nothing but crappy teams.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
What was the line?
It's only 13.
Well, Louisiana Tech's actually a decent team. 13 points. Mississippi State playing at home in Starkville. I can't take the points with the Texters. That's not enough. More than 2 touchdowns, maybe I'd be on the fence, but I'm taking the Bullies to win by 3 touchdowns.
They did take Kansas State into triple overtime. They ended up losing 39-33. And the only other loss was to Western Kentucky, 41-38. Neither one a blowout, but those teams not very good. Mississippi State, they're still average or below average, but they have the physicality that you need. And I just don't see how Louisiana Tech by the fourth quarter is going to be able to hold them to 13 points. So I'm going to go with Mississippi State in this one.
I liked Mississippi State last week when they had huge points or whatever. Maybe not huge, 30 or whatever it was. I like them again this week. I don't know. I think 13 is not enough. At La Tech, though, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they covered. It seems like they're a pretty decent team, but at Mississippi State, I'm going to go with what I went with week 1, go with the SEC. So here you go.
God,
Man,
consensus around here.
my favorite drop getting a lot of work today.
People are booking their flights to Vegas right now.
All right, the next game up is Ole Miss at Memphis. Ole Miss is a
10.5-point
favorite.
Wow,
over
at
the
the
Tigers.
Liberty Bowl.
Yep, and my dad, for some reason, really high on the Memphis Tigers, says that Ole Miss always seems to struggle in the Liberty Bowl.
They do.
But Memphis is 121st in passing defense, giving up 306 yards per game this season. And what can Ole Miss not do? Run the ball. What can Ole Miss do? Throw the ball. So that doesn't bode well for Memphis, the Tigers. What was the cover or spread again?
10.5.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to win by at least 13 in this game. I think that the quarterback play in Chad Kelly is going to be too strong and too much for the Memphis defense that can't stop the pass at all.
Alrighty, well, because of the technical difficulties, now you didn't get to hear me stutter and ask if it was my turn. So that's good, but I did ask if it was my turn.
Making Clayt look like a perfectionist now.
That's right, but I now I can't even think of the word. Wow.
Oh, never mind. We're back to not perfection.
Forget about it. Oh, what? We have another technical difficulty? No, never mind. Anyway, I was saying before, Memphis has played some mighty teams like Missouri State and Kansas and beaten them handily. Unfortunately, in week 3, they beat the Bowling Green Falcons by 3 at Bowling Green. And this is a tough game for me to pick because I was a little higher on Ole Miss going into the Florida game and stuff, and then I was proven totally wrong. But I think I still got to go with Ole Miss on this. It's tough, but yeah, I don't know. Ole Miss for me.
One thing I want to know is Ole Miss 2 straight weeks in the middle of the schedule against out of conference opponents. I just don't understand that right now, especially when we got Alabama coming off a slate against Georgia and Arkansas. That bugs me a little bit right there.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like these
You know that's some cheese.
It is some
absolutely.
cheese.
These non-conference games come in weird spots, and I mean, if you remember, Ole Miss opened the season with 2 jabroni games. They scored over 70 points in both of those. They're another team, just like Mississippi State. It seems like they've got 6 or 7 on their schedule every year. But this game is a little bit of a dicey situation. People don't realize that Oxford, Mississippi is only about 40 minutes from Memphis. It is it's always been a big rivalry, and these teams have played a bunch over the years, and Ole Miss has won most of the time, but the games are usually pretty tight. And if there's ever been a big game in Memphis in 25 years, this is it. That place is going to be insane. This Memphis team has really captured the community's imagination. It's the first good team they've ever had there. Fuente, the coach, has the 6'7" kid from Florida that's the quarterback that's throwing it all around the yard. I think this is a tough game for Ole Miss. I think they'll have great passing success. The question is, can Memphis's offense score against the good Ole Miss defense? And I think they will have some success, just enough to cover the 10.5 point spread. Give me those Memphis Tigers.
Oh, Lord. There goes Kip trying to catch up.
Yeah, well, he ended the sweep streak. Next game up is Alabama at Texas A&M. Alabama is a 4-point favorite.
And you are the leadoff man here for the game in College Station.
I think we know which way he's going here.
God, it sucks. Sucks big time. This is a tough week. I lean Texas A&M just because I'm mad at Alabama for their terrible performance, and I was so bored at the football game. I was wishing I was at a soccer game.
Oh, God, that is bored.
No, it was. Imagine standing next to him. It was miserable. He did nothing but whine the whole game.
It was so boring.
Oh, I'd rather be taking a nap right now.
I don't have a redneck accent.
You had to kind of think, though, it was going to be that kind of game because Arkansas is just kind of that kind of team.
Yeah, just like, if you look at the game last year, only won 14-13. I knew it was going to be that way.
I don't care what kind of team it is. I was just bored.
I've been on record. We face this Saturday.
I've been on record. I think football is not as good of a sport as basketball. I'm not a huge football fan anymore. I don't know where the hell it went. I don't know where my passion and enthusiasm went. But it was awful.
At least you have enough.
I think
Clayt
needs to transfer to Bowling Green immediately.
The highlight
he'd be at every game going nuts.
Those games are thrilling, exciting.
The highlight of the game was seeing the basketball recruits and laughing at one of them because he looked like a jabroni. No offense, I'd love to have you on the team, but and then also seeing Retno Basahan and
leave it like the halfway through the third quarter.
Clayt will give a recruit that looks like a jabroni. Clayt will give you a makeover if you just sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, I wanted to lean over and be like, "Hey, man, I'll give you $5."
Well, he's like 8 feet tall, so I don't care what he looks like.
And he had a think twin brother that was also like 8 feet tall. But then I heard, okay, we're totally off topic here, but I wanted to share this.
What's the Kipperspective
podcast
I thought it was on topic?
This guy is seriously like 6'8", 6'10", something like that. These dudes were huge. And then there's like I don't know if it's an assistant coach or just a recruiter guy. I don't know who it was, but somebody in the Alabama basketball program. After Griffith had missed a field goal, the next field goal he had was an easy one or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, this is an easy one." He goes, "This is just like a pick and pop, just like you outside the 3-point line. He gonna make this for sure." And I was like, "Oh my God, this 7-foot guy sitting next to me shoots threes. Please, I don't want him. He sucks. I already know he's terrible if he shoots threes."
Now you have a preview of our basketball podcast to come.
If you're listening, I'd love you to come to our school, but please work on your post game. If you're 7 feet tall, come on, man. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we have enough 7-footers that can't make a layup or a hook shot. We need one that can.
Swede!
If I was 7 foot, I would absolutely be just destroying everybody. I don't understand. If you're 7 feet tall, why are you standing on the outside? Unless, if you shoot like 50%,
pick and pop.
Go ahead. But that was so jabroni. But anyway, as I said, I'm mad at Alabama for making me sit through that garbage on Saturday because football's a bad sport. But I'm gonna go Alabama because I'm a homer. Yeah. And because everybody on campus said Alabama, except for like 2 people said they wished Texas A&M.
I told you it wouldn't be a shock.
The two people that said they wanted Texas A&M, though, were very confident that Alabama was going to win.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, the one guy, they're going to kick their ass, or whatever he said.
So
I don't know.
What are you doing in Tuscaloosa? I like that. Well,
Unfortunately, I work here
Yeah.
and I live here. And I said,
Yeah.
well, unfortunately, it's a great city, isn't it? No. So, yeah, Alabama, sure, whatever.
I know behind closed doors in the Alabama confines, the whole propaganda this week is everybody says you guys can't compete against a spread team. You can't compete against a team that throws the ball around. I'm sure they're programming that defense that everybody's against them and everybody doubts them. And just like Saban said, listen, you guys already had us buried. We were already 6 feet under. I don't know why we even showed up to play, blah, blah, blah. We don't play for you. I guarantee you they're playing that up big time. Alabama will have the same kind of killer look in their eye they did when they arrived in Athens last Saturday. I don't know why they can't instill that in them in home games right now, but that's another question.
Well, this isn't the first Alabama team, and of course we don't know. They've only had a true road game once this year, but this isn't the first Alabama team though that has played better on the road. I mean, the A.J. McCarron teams actually came out and said they prefer to play on the road.
Yeah, it's more like a business trip.
Well, yes, like I said a couple weeks ago before the Georgia game, when they're going on the road, they don't have those distractions like the home team does, and they don't have the family in town, all that stuff. They go in there, like you said, like it's a business game, and they go in to win and get out.
So I think the Alabama defense will be inspired just like they were in the Georgia game. They laid so many licks on Georgia early on, you could almost see it was coming. And I think A&M's going to be in for some of the same treatment. They can throw it around the yard a little bit. Allen's a confident quarterback. They'll have some success. But I think you're going to see, I know Saban and them having just played Arkansas and watching the tape. If anybody saw the Texas A&M Arkansas game, Arkansas controlled the clock about 3/4 of the game, just pounded them play after play after play.
Yep.
Texas A&M strengthened their defense as their unbelievable ability to pressure the quarterback. I don't think you'll see Coker throw it very much. I think you're going to see a huge dose of Derrick Henry. I think Alabama's going to grind and win the game. 4 points, yeah, that's probably pretty reasonable. I'm looking at about a 24-20, which is right on the number, but I've got to take Alabama. You're not supposed to pick a team you don't think can win, and I don't think Texas A&M can win.
Kip, you were spot on with everything you just said. All I've heard for the past 2 days is how this Texas A&M team and defense is a lot better than last year's 59-0 loss to Alabama. And then I started looking up some stuff today. Texas A&M rushing defense is 85th in the country.
They're terrible.
And yeah, they're giving up 182 yards per game, and they've given up 16 touchdowns. That's tied for second most out of the top 107 teams in the country. So they are giving up almost more touchdowns than anybody else in the country. And that's terrible. That is very terrible. Yeah. And what have Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin been doing the last couple of weeks? They've been pounding the ball up the middle, and they've got to continue to do that and exhaust the Texas A&M defense and control the clock. And if they do that, they're going to have no problem winning, because the only way they lose this game is with the Texas A&M on the offense on the field and spreading them out. And we know that Nick Saban and Kirby Smart struggle with that spread option offense. So just pound the ball, control the clock, and you're gonna be just fine in this game. So Alabama should be able to win it easily, I think by 10 or more.
All right. Clean sweep for the Tide. Roll Tide.
All right. Well, now the next game, an interesting one. Vanderbilt at USC East.
Wow.
And USC East is a 3-point favorite.
Well, with an interim coach, with all the goings on, you never know what's in college guys' minds. You two are a prime example of how they're going to be affected by what's going on around them. I'm sure it's business as usual for South Carolina. I don't really see the interim coach being anything but kind of conservative here, trying to just keep the ship moving. Vanderbilt's defense, time has proven my theorem from the opening weekend, holding Western Kentucky to 1 touchdown. I think Western Kentucky scored 40 or more on everybody else they've played, including a couple of respectable teams. So the Vanderbilt defense is the real deal. They went to Ole Miss and played a great game against the Rebels. They held Georgia's offense down pretty well. South Carolina, I don't know how much Nunez is going to play, or Ort. Nunez can't really throw the ball. Ort can't run it. I just have no regard whatsoever for South Carolina. They may have the big mental capacity to rally the forces and circle the wagons and all the other cliches. But I like the Commodores in this spot. I liked him with Spurrier there or not there. I think Vanderbilt's ready to break through and win an SEC road game and win an SEC game, period, for Derek Mason. I like the Doors here, and they've had some extra time to prepare.
Yeah, this is a tough one because you just said everything that's wrong with South Carolina, and there wasn't one positive. At least Vanderbilt, they're struggling on offense, but they have a defense, so they have one good thing that they can do, and that's what makes this pick tough because technically when you think of this game, you think that South Carolina should win. They probably have the better athletes, the talent, but they've dealt with a lot this week. Steve Spurrier leaving, they have no clue who their quarterback's going to be. So it's a really tough spot, but Vanderbilt's kind of gotten a little better as the year's gone along, even though they struggled with Middle Tennessee last Saturday.
It was a gut check win, though. I mean,
they came back and they didn't give up, and I credit the offense honestly because they've looked like that each week they get a little bit better and more comfortable in the system. And for that reason, I mean, they have at least a little bit of positive to them, where South Carolina has no positive. So I think I'm going to go with Vanderbilt as well.
Oh, okay. Here's the chance for Clayt.
Well, you jabronis, it's not no chance that I'm taking or whatever. I like Vanderbilt in this game as well. I mean, I don't know. I could see South Carolina winning, obviously, because Vanderbilt's this is like the game, that they will, play really well and then blow it at the very end. But even if they do that, if they lose by one or whatever, they still cover since they're the underdog. So, I think I like Vanderbilt in this game. I think they've got a better chance to win.
Man, consensus everywhere. Where's the sweep noise?
I'm working on it, bro.
Oh, come on, producer. Oh, it is unfair when Clayt has to go last. The producer can't be queued up. He has to concentrate on his remarks first. So.
Well, because, I got to go back and forth between my mic and my laptop, and it's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, apologies to the producer.
All right, well, next game up. This is one that I am sorry that if any of you listening, which I know some of you are Florida fans, I don't know, there may be LSU fans listening, who knows, that I did not ask anyone in Tuscaloosa who's going to win this game. I don't know why I didn't, just a total brain fart. I was just obsessed with Georgia and Missouri.
Especially with your Will Greer questions. You'd have thought this would have been number one.
I don't know what I was thinking. That was really weird. But also another thing about that, just because I brought it up, I was going to bring this up in the next one, but the Georgia and Missouri thing, maybe the reason I was so obsessed is because the second person I talked to, I asked them who's going to win Georgia, Missouri. It was two dudes, I guess walking back to their dorm, and both of them went M-I-Z and started going, yeah, Mizzou, M-I-Z. I don't know if they were Mizzou fans, but they were or they hated Georgia. I don't know where that came from, but they were obsessed with Missouri. And I looked down at my phone and I forgot to hit the record button. So I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh, you missed a great
So maybe that's what I was trying to get. I was trying to get another Mizzou response, but then everyone else picked
you probably
Georgia.
found the only two Mizzou jabronis on the entire campus.
Yeah, so that was disappointing. But yeah, so sorry I didn't ask anybody about LSU and Florida. I will not make that mistake again. But anyway, this game, Florida at LSU, since the Greer announcement, LSU has jumped to a 9.5 point favorite.
Wow, that's up from 6 to start the week.
And Yahoo lines don't move very much usually,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Treyon Harris, he didn't look good a year ago. He was, I believe, I looked it up earlier today, 49.5% passer last year, so he wasn't completing very many passes.
Not even 50%.
Yeah, he wasn't even good enough to be 50% passer. So it's
50% passer at best.
Yeah, so 49.5% passer at best. But it's just what he brings to the table is that he can run the ball. But LSU's rush defense is pretty good. They held Dak Prescott to negative 19 rushing yards. I think they're 13th in the country in rushing defense. And so you look at LSU's on their offensive side of the ball. All they can do is run the ball as well. Florida's defense is pretty good. LSU's defense is pretty good. That leads to a low-scoring game, not going to be much airing it out. So I think that it's going to be a 6-7 point game somewhere in that margin. I don't think that LSU is going to run away with this, but I do think they will win somewhere between 3 and 7 points. So they will not cover.
Oh, so you're picking Florida?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm right there with you. I was going to say that I think the main thing you want in a backup quarterback is a guy with experience, and even though Treyon Harris is not good, I wouldn't say he's good in any regard, except for the fact that he does have some game experience, which that's huge. At least he's not going to be he knows what it's like to play in the SEC. This isn't his first rodeo or whatever. So I 9.5's a lot. I like Florida in this game. I mean, I think this is going to be an awesome game to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Florida will win, but I think it's going to be a good one. So I think I'm going to go Florida as well. But yeah, with LSU winning.
Well, Trayon Harris earlier in the year was suspended for 2 games for you know what.
Smoke weed every day.
Smoke weed every day.
I got you, man. No worries.
Thank you. So this guy's not exactly the exemplary leader of all time. He did pilot a couple Florida wins last year, but I don't know how much the drop off is. I mean, Greer was playing great. Maybe I'll be sold this week if Florida has come from no expectations to ridiculous expectations. 9.5 is way too many points. I'm not comfortable at all with that line. I would be prepared to take LSU if it was around 7 where it should be. But since you guys both took Florida,
Well, damn.
I've got to take LSU here.
Oh, sweeping another one.
Because I think
he's taking LSU?
Because I think LSU's going to
wow.
win. I think LSU's going to win the game, and I think they just may win by 10. And I would be sick if they covered, and I just jumped on the consensus bandwagon here. So being a Maverick and being a nonconformist means taking a chance, and I'm going with Leonard Fournette and my Bayou Bengals.
That is some cheese.
To win by 10, so I'm taking LSU.
I think that if Will Grier was starting this game, I was growing higher and higher on Florida each week because Grier was looking more and more comfortable. If he starts this game, they would have won. So I still think that Trayon Harris can come in and manage. I know neither one of y'all think that, but I was growing higher and higher on Florida, and they were a good football team with a good coach, and I think that they would have won this game and proven to everybody finally that they belonged to in the talk for the SEC championship and the national championship or the playoff. So I think that Florida's still going to be able to keep it close with Harris.
All right.
Alrighty, and last game up, mentioned it a minute ago. The game I was obsessed with in Tuscaloosa because I was sick of hearing Alabama and because I missed the Missouri jabronis. It is Missouri at Georgia, and Georgia is a 16-point favorite.
And you get to go first.
Alrighty. Good. We're running way over time, so I'm picking Georgia.
16 points is ridiculous. Missouri's defense is really good. I think Georgia's going to take care of business. I don't think Missouri's going to score. I said it before. Mock or Lock.
Yeah.
Missouri's offense is still a crock.
50% passer at best.
At best, yeah. They're really bad. So I don't see them scoring any points. I think Jeremy Pruitt's going to be wanting to make a statement with his defense after they played so pitifully in Knoxville. Georgia's going to score enough to get a decent lead, but I can't give 16 points. I'm taking Missouri in the points. As much as I hate to do it,
another Missouri pick?
I hate Missouri, but 16 points that's too many points.
Who'd you go with, Clayt?
I can't do it.
Georgia.
Oh.
I'm not, I just can't lay the points. Georgia wins, but I'm taking Missouri in the points.
Well, don't you worry, Kip. I'm going to be right there next to you. I think that Georgia's just got a lot going on right now. I do think that Grayson Lambert got more comfortable.
I'm gonna stop you real fast just because I thought of something before I forget. What happened to if you don't think a team has a chance to win, don't pick them?
Well, that's when it's
a close line.
a reasonable line.
This is a lot of points.
I think Missouri has 0 chance to win. I don't think 16.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Georgia easily wins by 16.
I'm not sold. No Nick Chubb anymore, which is what they relied on heavily. Even though Sonny Michel's good and they have Keith Marshall, I think Grayson Lambert's finally getting a little more comfortable and is looking to Malcolm Mitchell like he should. And if Reggie Davis can haul in a couple more passes, he's right up there too. But Missouri, they have a tough defensive line. They can get after the quarterback. I think they're top 10 in sacks this year with 18 or something like that. And Grayson Lambert, he has not looked comfortable in the pocket at all. He does the stutter steps and doesn't know if he needs to throw it or not. So I think that's a big problem. I think that Georgia's going to win the game, but I see like a 24-13 low-scoring kind of game in this one. So I think that Georgia's not going to cover the spread.
So, Clayt, you got a chance to gain some big ground here if you can get the dogs into the win column.
I wouldn't trust Missouri. I mean, I would probably pick Missouri if it was this, but I wouldn't trust Missouri if the spread was 30. I mean, Missouri is so bad.
Their offense is
awful. And they're at Georgia. I know Georgia fans are, sad and, not nearly as happy and rowdy or whatever as they were like a couple weeks ago. But
11 days ago.
But Missouri's so awful that I would not feel comfortable picking them at any line.
But what makes you think Georgia's going to score a lot of points?
I don't think they have to. I don't think 20 is a lot of points. I don't think Missouri's going to score at all.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get a touchdown or two.
Okay, sure, they'll get a touchdown. Then I don't know. I think Georgia's going to easily cover. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally full of it.
As usual, the line's probably just about right. So it just tough enough where it's hard to decide which way to go. But I think Alex right. Georgia has a lot of issues too, and if Nick Chubb was there, I think they would just pound Missouri relentlessly. But the Missouri pass rush and the pressure they can put on the quarterback is an evening factor. So,
well, yeah, if you look at last year's game, Nick Chubb's the reason that they won by so many points. He went off for like 200-something yards.
Carried it 40 times or something ridiculous. But so, Georgia can still win by 2 touchdowns and win comfortably and not cover. So, if the line was 14, I'd go Georgia. But the fact that it's more than 2 touchdowns, I got to go the other way. Just kind of the old betting rules, just like the ones that got me last week when I've already publicly apologized for picking the worst team on earth.
Well, last week you were actually the best, except for the Missouri
that game.
Pick.
Yeah,
you were better than Alec and I by a lot, but yeah.
Well, it's because I went against Georgia last week at Tennessee. You guys both were on board, and when it was 24-3, you guys were looking pretty good.
Yep.
But it's just the way it goes. But anyway, it's been a fun show. I love the Man on the Street segment. Hope everybody out there liked it too. Any final thoughts, you guys, going into the weekend?
Yeah. I said it on the Clayt on the Street segment to one of the girls there. I'm gonna start uploading the podcast, I think, to YouTube. I don't think I know. It's just going to be a little bit of extra work. I'm not sure when it'll be uploaded, maybe a day late. So, if you listen to it on Kip's Facebook or on kipkeefer.net or on iTunes or whatever, you can keep listening to it there, but it's also going to be on YouTube. It's not going to be a video podcast, just going to have the picture overlay. So go to YouTube, search for Kipperspective. Hopefully it'll come up. It's a brand new channel, so it might not. It's Kipperspective Podcast. Also, you can email us at kipperspective@gmail.com. It's the email link to the YouTube account. So if you want to email us something, feel free. It will most likely get read because there's not many, probably not going to be many emails in there. So if you want us to read something on the podcast, we'll probably do it. And if you want to be awesome, go find our YouTube channel and subscribe to it.
Do it! Just do it!
Alec, what do you got?
I'm looking forward to the Florida LSU game, Alabama Texas A&M game. I think those are the 2 big matchups this weekend, and there's going to be at least one undefeated team down, and so we'll look forward to that.
Yep, should be fun. All right, well, I guess next week's Clayt on the Street, you guys need to go and work hard at one of the top sorority houses or the freshman girls' dorm.
I just want to clarify, it might not be a weekly segment because it was a lot of work for me to put together, and yeah, I probably
it'll probably be a back and forth thing of who can work on it most and all that kind of stuff.
Because out of my last, not including recording the podcast and driving to Birmingham, but my last 12 hours, I probably spent 5 on that. So yeah.
Well, I hope we can consider maybe the LSU game or something. Maybe we could actually do a podcast from the from the venue. I think that, and we could call people over for random comments.
That would be awesome. I that would be really, really cool.
So that's something we need to look at. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this week. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we look forward to coming to you again next week. We'll wrap everything up that happened, either gloat or apologize for our terrible or great picks.
I won't apologize. I don't care.
Clay will not apologize. He's like Steve Spurrier. He doesn't care what anybody thinks, and he's not old balls. We're out of time, though. Clayt, Alec, it's been great, as always. Moving on to bigger and better things. Anybody who's tuned in that was kind enough to send me birthday wishes, I certainly appreciate that as I turn yet another year older, speaking of old balls. But thank you all so much. And to a public thank you to my wonderful son and producer and co-host here. He actually baked me a cake for my birthday, which was a moving experience. And thank you so much, Clayt. That meant a lot to me. I haven't had a birthday cake in a long, long time. So pretty cool stuff. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again next week. Kip Keefer from the Kip Keefer headquarters, Kipperspective podcast. Have a great football weekend, everybody. 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 Football